Okay, so for question 13, they are given us a function about rational function. Okay, so we have a rational function. So our first task is show this function is one-to-one function. So from here, we can use graphical method or algebraic method. Alright, so I will choose algebraic method. So hence later on we have to find the value that when it composite it gets 0. So we have two tasks here. One is show it one to one, another is show it find the value of x. So if want to show one to one, our first step will be let it substitute x1 into the function and substitute x2 into the function. So that will be our first concept, substitute x1 and x2 into the function. And then the working after that is going to find x1. If we manage to find x1 only equals to x2, one answer, then means it is one-to-one. If we get our answer in two answer, x1 equals to something x2, another x1 equals to something x2, okay, so we got two answers, that means it is not one-to-one. So this is how we prove by algebraic method. Algebraic methods means calculation. Okay, so we substitute our x1, it will become 3x1 over x1 minus 6. Here will be 3x2 over x2 minus 6. So we have to simplify, find out how we get back all x1 at the left hand side. We do multiply here, we do cross multiply here. So it will become 3x1 times x2 minus 6, 3x2 times x1 minus 6. Okay, so we expand it. Okay, let me expand it, then we gather back our x1. So here is 3x1, x2 minus 18x1. And then here will be 3x1, x2 minus 18x2. So we gather back our term x1 because we want to find out our x1. Gather back. Oh, so when we move it to the left hand side, when we gather back our term x1 here, it minus. So 3x1, x2, then minus x1, x2, then finish. We simplify, finish. Then we only left here is negative 18x1. Okay, so find out our x1, it will be negative 18x2 divided by negative 18. So it also can be simplified. So after it's simplified, we managed to get our final answer as x1 equals to x2 only. Okay, so when we get only one answer which is equals to x2, algebraically we can prove this function is one-to-one function. So we continue, find the value of x when its composite is equals to 0. So they are testing us on composite function. So substitute our fx, 3x, x minus 6. Actually, composite function is like a concept of substitute. Substitute what into the bracket? What do you substitute into the bracket? So the bracket here is the fraction of this. So this fraction you're going to substitute again into the f. Okay, substitute this into the bracket here. So means the place of x here. It will be 3x, x minus 6. Okay, so this is what we substitute. Substitute this fraction into the place of x, which is next to 3 and here. So this is our fraction. We have to simplify and get to the value of x. Alright, so this is an equation. We can move, we can cross multiply because an equation, right? It got left hand side, right hand side. We can do left hand side. We can move the things left, right. So I can multiply this denominator to the right hand side. it will become 0. So finally I get 9x over x minus 6 only. Okay, I simplify, I multiply this denominator because denominator can multiply, cross multiply. Denominator darab ke belah sana dapat kosong. So tinggallah yang ini saja. So 3 darab 3 dapat 9. So saya simplify lagi. Saya darab lagi. Saya darab lagi. Nampak 9x equals to 0. So finally 0 divided by 9, it is 0. Okay, so this is our concept of one-to-one, and then we simplify to get until x1 equals to x2. Conclusion, this is one-to-one. So composite concept, simplify it, and then another time answer. For question B, they give us a fx subfunction, gx linear function. So find this value first. So this is a composite of G inverse into F. So I need to find out what is this G inverse of negative 7 over 2. What's the answer for this? So I can straight away let G inverse negative 7 over 2 equals to y. Normally we find function, so G inverse x equals to y because we find the answer. But now if we are finding the range for it, the answer for it, so we can straight away G inverse, let this G inverse equals to y. Once we find our y, we get this answer. So we inverse it, go back to G, domain become range, range become domain. Okay, so from here we find out what is our y. Substitute our y into the function of G, and then find out, move the 1 to the right hand side, plus 1, negative 5 over 2. So y will equal to negative 5. So once we find our y, that will be our G inverse negative 7 over 2. So for inverse function, not necessarily every time we need to find G inverse x. Depends on the situation. If situation want values, then values, let it, our answer also values. If the situation asks us in terms of x, so that's why our answer also in terms of x. Got x. So this part done. So we can start doing our composite function. So for G inverse negative 7 over 2, we get negative 5. And then we substitute this negative 5 into the function fx. It will be square root 1 minus 3 negative 5. So it will be square root 16, which is equal to 4. Alright, so this is our inverse function concept. Find out our y to get its value. And then substitute again. Simplify the answer.